A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 165. Life is challenging and difficult. No one gets out alive. Time to suck it up, Buttercup. Get ready for a monster-sized boot, aimed to help you get traction on personal change and get living. I am John Curran, your host. Join me as I share my journey, exploring the forces that motivate us to change and help us get through whatever life throws at us. A swift kick in the ass. Life on your terms. Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curran. Today's topic, leveraging your privilege for freedom. So privilege and freedom are talked about a lot these days, right? Especially around the time of elections. So this episode is really going to talk about practical ways that we can leverage our freedom and our privilege to create a life on our own terms. So this is going to be a little bit different than maybe you're used to hearing. Certainly is not going to be mainstream because this is a swift kick in the ass and we look at things a little bit differently. But let's first understand the difference between freedom and privilege because they are often used interchangeably, but they are not the same. Freedom is the right to make choices about our lives, careers, and beliefs without undue restraint. So, undue restraint, what does that mean? Well, it means that no one's really going to stop you from making these choices that concern your life or your career or your beliefs. Privilege is the advantages some people have due to really who they are. And this is, the categories, I guess, are where they differ or why they have this privilege is because of their, it leads back to their social, economic, or political status. If you think about it, the rich, people who have money, they are a lot more privileged. They have advantages that, some people don't have, that people who do not have money have. And privilege creates freedom, doesn't it? Sometimes it can be. I encountered privilege just recently. I went to a concert and my buddy who I went with bought these passes, VIP passes. So we were able to go backstage and we had access to things that the general admission folks did not have. And it was cool because so there was an outdoor stage and there was an indoor stage called the Sound Stage. This was in Gainesville, Florida, for those of you who are interested. And it was at the Tom Petty weekend, which was a couple day, 3 or 4 days long festival celebrating the life and music of none other than Tom Petty. And they have a yearly festival. Check them out, man. It's really cool. Anyhow, got VIP passes, well worth the money. And in between, when they're setting up the outdoor stage, they would have someone on the inside playing. And then, of course, it would be on a screen outside and you could see it. But it's not the same as being there. Like being just 10 feet away, we could have been closer if we wanted, but being so close to the artist in this amazingly acoustic room, it was just heaven. For me, a music lover, I loved it. And I walked away with a much different meaning of Tom Petty's songs, I think, than when I went in. And that's a good thing. I think when you open yourselves up to new experiences and you take those opportunities. I don't know. You walk away maybe a little bit changed, a little bit better. I think it improves our lives. Definitely created a memory that I'll never forget. And you do feel like you're in a different class of people, like the peasants who only have general admission. They don't get to go into this space. You do feel, I guess, a little bit snobby, maybe. But everyone's cool, and of course, you're not rubbing it in people's faces. Oh, I got to go in here, and you stay out because you're not welcome. No, it's nothing like that. People understand that you paid for this privilege. Well, not everyone pays for their privilege. Some of the privilege is handed down. As we mentioned, social or economic. It does matter. Your family, who your family is, does matter. I have some power, I think, down, in South Florida because that's where I was raised. That's where my parents had businesses, local businesses. And, I still carry some weight when I go down there only because, the people respected my dad. And so they do it. I kind of use my dad's name. I have my dad's name. So, it's just using my own name. But, I use it for my own benefit sometime. A couple years ago, after my dad died, I needed to move an engine, a boat engine. It was the one for Perseverance. Needed to move it up and get it up into my boat so I could bring it to Virginia. And within like 10 minutes, I had a crew assembled. I didn't have to really lift a finger. They handled it all. They got the engine hoist. They lifted it. They brought the engine. They did the work, and I felt very powerful at that point because I recognized the power of my word had gotten that incredible. It would have been an incredibly hard task for me to do alone, but with a few people and the right equipment, it was easy. And I was a privilege that I have because of my background, because of my family. Now, you probably have privileges too. You just don't think about them that way. You probably take them for granted. Your lifestyle often I'm sure is full of privileges that a lot of people don't have. And I think it's good, when you go out and you meet other people and you learn a little bit more about them. I think it's really cool. It can kind of knock you off your pedestal, bring you closer to the ground. And I think that's a good thing because at the end of the day, we're all leaving. Our time on this earth is short. What we do with our time is important, but we weren't all born at equal levels, in the same place. We're all unique in our own way. And what one person has doesn't mean that everyone has it. And that's the way the world is. It has always been that way, really, I think. So this show is really about standing your ground and kind of clawing, I think, your way up. Privilege is earned. Again, you could pay for privilege, but you don't often have to. Sometimes, you can earn that. You can work for the privilege and get it, and get more freedom out of it because of it. Getting in with the right people, or knowing the right people can really lead you to places that you can't even imagine, because it's outside of your mind. It's outside of your hands. It's in other people's hands, and they have different perspective. They have different privileges. They have different freedoms. So again, this is kind of a way of, a different way of looking at the difference, looking at freedom and privilege. They're two different things. So let's get real about privilege. And part of privilege is accessibility. Like I was talking about the VIP passes. I paid for easier access to the artists and to better music. I pay for better access to better music because I subscribe to Sirius XM. That puts me in a different class of people. I love music, so I don't mind paying for it. But not everyone likes it, and not everyone has that privilege. And honestly, not everyone needs that privilege, right? Maybe you're not into music. So privilege isn't sought by everybody. It's individual. Again, accessibility. Maybe you have access to something that other people don't. You have the insider's view because of where you work, or because of your family, or because of your political background. Now, freedom means that everyone has the right to pursue these, but privilege means that not everyone's going to get access. And that's okay, right? Like, to be in my group of friends, close friends, is a privilege. If your friends don't respect you, then they don't deserve that privilege of being your friend. And I've had to let go of some friends over the years. It's not fun, but it is empowering because you do have control over your life. You do choose who you are friends with. People try to force their friendship on you. Be wary of them. They want something from you. At least that's what I find. Friendship is a two-way street, and it could be shut down. That street can be shut down too. Safety nets. It's another aspect of privilege. If you come from a rich family, you're probably going to be able to take more risks out there, because if you go into debt, your family will pay off the debts, right? They're going to save you. I've had to be saved a couple times financially through my parents. I've also saved myself in a lot of ways by paying off debt and clawing my way out of debt. I guess I didn't have a safety net at that point. I was my own safety net. I was out there when my children were very young. I realized that if I didn't make changes back then for them, that they were going to suffer. And I did not want them to lack anything. I guess I have provider syndrome. I really wanted to provide for my family. And it's important to me. It was important for me, for my kids to go to college. I have one out of college and one in college. And right now we're paying as we go. And it's pretty awesome that I've been able to position myself so that I can pay as I go. And I've had some help to help get me there. I did do a lot of it myself, but I had help. And, I had the banks to help too. I had to use some leverage that I had created, using equity in my house. So that is a difficult decision. It was a difficult decision for me to use equity in my house. And I want to go into it because it is something that is kind of privileged, I think. If you have a house, you're privileged. Not everyone has a house. Not everyone is able to get one or keep it if they've had it. I've been putting money into mine. It's gone up in value, and I needed to pay off my daughter's student loans. So I just wrapped it up into my mortgage, and it increased my mortgage payment. But I was facing about $900 a month extra. There's no way I could do that. So, I had to refinance, and chances are I'll probably, I'll end up selling the house after the kids grow up and move out, and we don't need such a big house. I want to move to the water anyway. So it's really just that these numbers are kind of just a temporary thing. I'm going to end up paying off the mortgage before. So, and I got a good interest rate. So, it was the right time. It was a good decision. I created my own, that was a safety net that I had. And I knew going into this that, back when my kids were young and my wife and I decided to pay off all of our debts and, become debt free, we knew that we weren't going to be able to save money for college, and we knew that it was going to be tough. And I didn't realize how tough it would be, but we're making it through. And it is because of, family and educational status, and I have a good job, so I can make money. Not everyone does. So I do feel privileged. I feel very thankful. But visibility. Privilege can be invisible to those of us who have it, making them unaware of the struggles that others face. I have a little plaque at my desk. It was my grandfather's, and it's Indian prayer. And I apologize if it's offensive to some. This is meant to be like a Native American, and this is like a little plastic plaque that was in my grandfather's office. I don't know. It's maybe from the 20s or 30s. It's old, but it's an Indian prayer, and it says, "Grant that I may not criticize my neighbor until I have walked a mile in his moccasins." My grandfather was a smart man. He was an attorney, and he was a state's attorney, actually, of Illinois back, I think, in the 20s. He worked his way through school. He created opportunities for his kids as well for me. You don't really think about it, but if I being a genealogist, looking at my family history, I recognize that, while my father did not complete college, he did go to college for a couple of years before deciding it wasn't for him. But my grandfather, he was an attorney. He was state's attorney, as I said, so he was educated. My great-grandfather, he was an engineer. He worked for the Edison. He was a chief engineer for Edison Light Company in Minneapolis, Minnesota, way back when. It's like in the 1800s, I guess. Chances are he probably even met Edison, because if you don't know it, Edison owned power companies. And obviously he went through some type of training or education to become a engineer of that level. It's so I am privileged. I admit it, but I can't say I've always been that aware of it. It's invisible to you. You don't really think about it. Not everyone is well educated. Not everyone is so fortunate to come from good families. My family's not perfect, but whose is? We're all different. There's really no such thing as a normal family or an average family. I mean, there's no real such thing. It's just the way it's presented, like something to strive for. I don't know if you want to be average or normal. Otherwise, I say just be yourself. Freedom is visible and it's guaranteed to all. It doesn't seem that way in America right now, but it is. I think, though, that some people are viewing freedom, privileges as freedom, and especially where healthcare is involved, I really I have a difficult time with the government making decisions for people. But I also think that it may be a good idea for the federal government to bow out and leave it to the states and let people move if they want. You have the power to move. But again, I feel too like it's like, well, don't tell me what to do and don't tell me where to live and how to live my life. That's not really what the government is about in my eyes. But interesting time how we live, isn't it? These are just, aspects of freedom, I think, that maybe we don't think about. I don't expect you to share my views politically. And I'm sorry if I am coming across like I don't want to push any agenda. I don't. You think what you want to think. But in any case, here's some practical ways to leverage your freedom. Despite all these differences, between freedom and privilege, we can leverage our freedoms to enhance our lives. Education and self-improvement is one. I worked my way through a dual master's degree program. So I have 2 master's degrees. It was not easy. It was not easy for me to get a bachelor's degree, which I also worked my way through. And my bachelor's degree is in health science education. So I am, professionally trained as a health science educator. I really got into that for myself because I wanted to learn about myself. And I did. I've been into self-improvement for quite a long time, focused on myself and trying to be a better me. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. It doesn't cost money to educate yourself these days, really. You can find out a lot of good information. There's a lot of good free or low-cost educational sources. Have you ever heard of the library? It's got a lot of really great information and books that you can learn from and follow your dream and create privilege for yourself. Take a course. Take a certification course. I also think, take on a project. Like I have my boat. That if that has not taught me about myself, I don't know what has. I'm going to give you a real quick update on that. So I pulled my motor and I found dry rot in my transom in the back of the boat. So I have no issues with my motor. Motor's great. I got that all back together. She's going to be better than ever that way. But I'm fighting kind of cold temperatures right now. I need to do some fiberglass work and fix my transom. It's not too bad, but it's something I need to do. Again, I don't know if this ever ends. I think our striving for privilege and for freedom, it's a constant battle. And it's really easy to kind of hand that over to someone else. But I try not to do that. And also recognize that when you unwittingly, when you don't even think about it, unconsciously, you just hand over power. Like I handed over my power concerning my career to my employer for a while, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to wait until, I'm given a promotion. But that's not the way it works. The company doesn't want that power. The company's not going to take it. No one was just going to give me a big, hefty raise and a promotion. I had to seek that out for myself. And I, interviewed for different positions, and I lost some, and I won some, and I got a great job. That job allows me to, have creative endeavors like this podcast. This is not necessarily a source of income for me. This is because I want to help people. Entrepreneurship and innovation is another way that you can leverage your freedom. Start a business. Even if you lack traditional funding, sometimes I think that's better. When you need to figure things out because you haven't done them before, sometimes that's the best place to be. Especially look at all these rock and roll bands, these legends. When you talk to them, if they could have one wish, some of them wish they could go back to those leaner days, when they were living in a van down by the river, because all they wanted to do was play music, but they weren't making any money from it. But music was so important that they were willing to give up just about everything. In fact, give up a shelter, food and shelter. They put themselves out there. And look what, not everyone makes it to the top. A lot of musicians fail. A lot of people who are closeted musicians like myself, I play my guitar at night, and that's got to be good enough for me because I like to eat. But, I didn't catch that train when I was young. I could have. Came kind of close, but didn't want to take that risk. You might want to, though. And my hat is off to you. Another way to leverage your freedom is through health and well-being. I can't stress this enough that health is wealth. If you are not healthy, if you don't take care of yourself, your body's only going to let you go so far, and it's only going to let you push yourself so far, and then you're going to have a total collapse. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. Don't let that happen to you. Take care of yourself. Eat right. Exercise. Get sleep. Get relaxation. Enjoy your life. You only have one of them. And you never know when it's going to be taken from you. You never know when life is going to change in a New York minute. I mean, Tommy was in the best shape of his life before his diagnosis. He was running up 5 flights of stairs almost every day. Why? I don't know. He liked it. I don't want to do that. Anyhow, health is wealth. You can make healthier lifestyle choices. It's kind of sad that I feel this way because I feel judgy. I feel judgmental. But I have taken steps. I have changed my diet in many different ways throughout the years. But the truth is that when I was eating cheese and dairy products, it was causing inflammation throughout my whole body. I was swollen up like a big marshmallow. Wasn't necessarily overweight. I exercised and things, but I was still, I was starting to lose muscle tone, and I was kind of soft. Even though I worked out with weights, it just was, and some people would say, oh, you're just getting old. You're getting older. It's okay. Just go with it. Let yourself be old. Screw that. I'm going to live my life. And the things I want to do, I need to be in good physical condition to do it. You can't do it on crutches or in a wheelchair. Sometimes some of the things I want to do. It is a privilege, and you have to earn that privilege. Some people have accidents where they can't, or things happen, and they can no longer do those physical things. You never know how long you're going to have your body functioning the way it's supposed to function. It could be taken away from you in a minute. I'm very thankful for my body and the physical condition that I have. I'll work my ass off every day so I can have it. I was full of chronic pain, really bad chronic back issues. But through my diet changes, through my exercise, I mean, I'm like a 30-year-old again. I feel great. It's not to say I don't have aches and pains. I have aches and pains, but I deal with them differently now. And I don't let it stop me. I'm going to be 58 soon, and I'm really in the best shape of my life in some ways. Better than when I was maybe 28 and working out 6 days a week, and I was like a bull. Weighed about 205, I think, at my top weight. I was a bull. I was big up on top, though, and skinny legs, which I think ultimately caused my back problems, and I had to totally change my my regimen, my exercise regimen, and just basically start doing a whole body workout. Because I was too focused, and my upper body was too out of shape, and your body will only get so far out of shape before it says no, not going to do that. So that's what it did to me, and it hurt. My back was horrible pain. I had herniated discs in my back, 3 of them. It was some of the worst pain I think I've had in my life. Last leverage, I think it is important. Political engagement. I don't care how you vote. Get out there and vote. Exercise that right. Be informed about your vote. It ensures your voice is heard. We have a good system in America. You may not like the outcomes. That's okay. Again, you can't just lay there and take it. I guess you can lay there and take it. You can also fight. You could defend yourself if you feel so attacked. And it's funny that people feel attacked politically, and I guess I understand why. But if you feel attacked, I think you have a right to stand up and defend yourself. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want this to become a political discussion. It's not a political show. But participate in democracy. It's not just for the privileged. It's for everybody. It's a freedom. And our veterans fought for that freedom. And our ancestors fought for that freedom. Don't just give it up. Stand up, or I'm going to kick you in the ass. I mean, this is what we all need. We need to participate in our democracy. And if you don't, then stop bitching. All right. Overcoming challenges. Understanding the difference between privilege and freedom, it helps us recognize and tackle obstacles head on. As I was thinking about this episode and what to name it, I was thinking about, feeling the fear and do whatever anyway. I was thinking about fear and death, of course. But I think that what I've learned recently is that you need to stand up to your fears. need to stand up to the tasks that you're up to, the challenges. When you're trying to accomplish something, no matter how complex something is, it can always be broken down into something simple, more simple, and really even steps. Step yourself there, just one step at a time. Even if you're moving just inches, you're moving forward. Keep flowing and keep flowing forward. If we have financial barriers, they suck. No one wants to talk about money. Everyone wants to just have money and spend money however they want to. That's the dream, right? Well, I can't do that. That's not realistic for me, especially when I want to put my kids through college. Now, if it was just me and my wife, I'm sure I'd have a lot of disposable income. But it's not just my wife and I. We have 3 children. And as I keep saying, it's important, that I set them on a good path. I want them to be well educated. I want them to, have ambition, and I want them to have dreams, and I want them to follow their dreams, and I want to support that as much as I can as a parent. I'm not going to just hand them things, but I want to help them, and even if it means personal sacrifice for me, it's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's important to me. But financial barriers suck. You have to get a grasp on them. After this, I'm probably going to be working on my spending planner and really mapping out, probably in the next year and a half, even more than I have now, really looking at where I can tighten things up and take me further down my path. Time constraints. Prioritize your goals and use time management tools to maximize your productivity. Time management tools really are just an understanding of time, and you can only do so much. So therefore, you maybe need to schedule things a little bit different. My boat is another great example of time management and time constraints. So a lot of the work that I'm doing can be done in cold weather. But when you're dealing with fiberglass, and like I said, I have fiberglass repair on the boat that I have to do now. I didn't know I had to do it, but I do. And now I'm fighting that fall and winter coming. If it goes down, 65 degrees is like the minimum ambient temperature for doing fiberglass. It has to be warmer than that, or the fiberglass, the epoxy, not the epoxy, the resin will not harden, and it's just a mess. It'll be a bad job. But I've learned that, so I have to schedule things out, and even though I can't work on one thing, I can work on something else. So if I'm not moving forward in one area, I'm moving forward in some other area. But it's still both of those things are going to lead me ultimately to where I want to go, because it's not just, it's not just a direct path. There's many different elements to it, and you can move forward in one area and maybe you have to move backwards in another. It's okay. It's all part of learning about it, and it's all part of overcoming that challenge. If there's one thing I've learned too from the boat, it's no one's going to come save me. I have to be my own hero and get the job done. Doesn't matter what it is. I need to do it. Like if that bolt is stripped, no one's going to take it out but me. If it's not coming out, if I can't get it out, it's there forever, because no one else is going to do it. No one else is going to save me. And last but not least, in overcoming challenges, And I want to recognize information overload. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Simple is good enough. Good enough is the enemy of perfection. But good enough is good enough for me. Wait, perfection is the enemy of good enough? I don't know. Something like that. Tommy used to say it. There's so much out there, and there's a lot of good information. There's equally as bad information. I've learned this in dealing, again, with my boat, on especially how to work fiberglass. I'm not that experienced, but now I'm experienced enough to know when people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and I could see that now. I couldn't see it before. You're willing to take anybody's advice, but a lot of you don't know what's driving people, especially in social media. You're in a Facebook group. You're asking how to do something, or should I do this, or should I not? Their answers could be a joke. They could be serious. They could maybe not know what they're talking about, or maybe they do. And it's just, who knows? Maybe they're just an asshole. They just want to jerk you around. Like I had so many people tell me, pull the engine. Had this one guy say, no, you don't have to pull the engine. Use an engine hoist, support the front end of the motor. Then you can do all the work that you need to do. You don't need to pull it out. Now, I ultimately did pull the motor out, but that's a whole nother story. I didn't need to before for that particular thing, but then I ended up needing to. So it was inevitable. And not all, these sound bites that people hear on the news, they often promote an agenda, and they don't really tell you the whole story. They take it out of context. It's very true in politics these days. But, I think it's also true in a lot of things, because maybe you're looking at a sales page for a particular product, and they're trying to sell you the world because they want you to buy into it. But there's maybe a low-cost solution that you can do that does a better job, as well as save you money. That's up to you to know the difference. And that's how you get burned, is when you don't do the research to make sure that the information that you have is from credible sources. It is relevant to your goals. And, you kind of filter out the noise that's associated with that. So I think I gave you a lot to talk about, or a lot to think about today. I hope you're less fearful of privilege and freedom. In fact, I hope this empowers you to pursue a life of increased freedom and increased privilege. I want to kick you in the ass to move you in the right direction. I want to kick myself in the ass to do just exactly the same thing for myself. That's what part of this podcast does for me, is it motivates me to stay on path. Because I'm not going to just talk the talk. I'm going to walk it as well. So that's enough for me now. I hope this is enough for you. Please check out my website. Drop me a note at John at A Swift Kick in the Ass. Tell me how you like things. Tell me what you need. Tell me if you're interested in talking about a life, how you view a life on your terms, and maybe about that swift kick in the ass that you got. Maybe I'll interview you. Drop me a line. Until then, this is your host, John Curran. This is your podcast, A Swift Kick in the Ass. Peace. This marks the end of another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. placing it directly in the can. As much as I like to talk, even I have my limits. It's time to go. Catch me on the next show. For better or worse, whether you like us or not, please leave comments wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. Visit our home on the interweb. I think you can leave me a voicemail there. You can also email me at john@aswiftkickintheass.com. It's been my extreme pleasure. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you got your ass moving. Until then, until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.